Hello there, this is Christy Lewis at the Lakeport branch of the Lake County Library, and today I am here with a brand new thriller book haul. Exciting, we have some big names in this stack today. So let's just get started. Oh, and let's not forget, if you want to order any of these, you can order them for free through the library catalog, which is linked down below in the description, and all of the titles and author names of the books are also down there. So if you want to order any of them, you can just copy and paste the book title directly into the library catalog, and it'll bring up all the options for that book if there's like ebooks or audiobooks or whatever. So now let's get started. And we'll start off with Lazarus by Lars Kepler. This author is a New York Times best-selling author, and it was translated from Swedish in 2020 and published by Alfred A. Knopf. Now this story is about how a bunch of big names from the crime world have been brutally murdered recently, and it is discovered that it's not just the fact that they have checkered pasts that are catching up with them. There's actually somebody on a targeted killing spree because the connections start hitting close to home for a particular detective, and that detective's name is Noah Lena. When two of the victims have disturbing connections to him, he decides, okay, I'm gonna talk to my friend Saga Bauer and we're gonna figure this out together. And then turns out that the killer has a lead on how to get to them as well. So suddenly they are in danger. It sounds like kind of a generic plot to me, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been translated from Swedish if it wasn't good, right? It does have some fantastic quotes on the back from Jeffrey Deaver and Tammy Hoag and AJ Finn. Oh, and it's set in Europe. I don't think I said that. So Lars Kepler is actually the pen name of a husband and wife team who are writing this, and both of their names are Alexander Onderil. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They were both actually writers in their own right before teaming up, and it sounds like teaming up was a good career move. This is called a Killer Instinct book, so I'm guessing that there are other titles in the series either before or after this installment, although this one is pretty new, translated in 2020, so I don't know if there are any new titles after this yet. This might be the newest one. This is available for free as an ebook and as an audiobook through the library catalog, which is linked down below. Next, we have The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. You may have heard of this author before. She's famous for her young adult fiction, Rebel Belle and Hex Hall, both of which were well received and popular. I haven't read any of those, but this is her first adult thriller, so it's a departure for her. This sounds kind of like romantic suspense. It is a retelling of Jane Eyre, I guess. It's supposed to be darkly funny. Here's a quote. Darkly funny, suspenseful tale of murder, ambition, and love. The main character, Jane, is a dog walker who's broke, and she's walking around this ritzy neighborhood in Birmingham, Alabama, and she's like, I think these guys could probably live on a little less. Like, they probably have some stuff lying around that they don't need that I could really use. So she's just happy to try and lift some off of that for herself. And then she runs into Eddie, who is a very wealthy widower, very handsome man. I don't know if you can tell, but to me this doesn't sound like a Jane Eyre retelling at all. Not only was Mr. Rochester not handsome, but Jane, like, part of the central thing about Jane Eyre is that she was like a very self-controlled person. Like, when she was a child, she was out of control. She learned to control her temper and her desires, which was for her betterment, as it turned out. She also totally didn't chase Mr. Rochester, which is apparently what happens in this book. I just can't picture my dear Jane Eyre as a gold digger and small-time thief. But, you know, this probably isn't the type of book that would appeal to me, so I'm not the target audience. I think this is a clever cover, though, because it kind of reminds me of, it's that story that I think it's called The Wallpaper. It's a famous feminist story about a female narrator who is being kept in her room by her husband and her doctor, who keep telling her that this is the right thing for her, that she needs to stay inside because she's sick and she's going crazy, like staring at the wallpaper. So I think that's probably what they're going for here, a woman in the attic type thing. Anyways, apparently both of these main characters have a past, and they're hoping that as they fall in love, they can like outrun their pasts or something. It was published in 2020 by St. Martin's Publishing Group, and it is available for free as an ebook and as an audiobook, so if you're interested. But you know what? Her young adult fiction, particularly Rebel Belle, I think that really captures the southern feel. The author lives in Alabama, and this is set in Alabama, so that might be another draw for you. There's humor, there's probably a real thick southernness to the story. So if that sounds like it might draw you in, a modernist twist transplant to Alabama, I mean, it sounds pretty unique. It sounds like a different novel entirely, really. So if it sounds like a good novel to you, I might just ignore the Jane Eyre elements and just read it, because you might really enjoy it for those reasons. Next, we have Before She Disappeared by Lisa Gardner. This one is about Frankie Elkin. Frankie is a recovering alcoholic, and she is driven and passionate about finding people that the justice system has not been able to find and has sort of given up on finding, just these lost people who nobody is really looking for anymore in the justice system. She wants to find them. So in this particular case, there's a Haitian teenager that disappeared from her high school, and Frankie is gonna chase her down, even if that means that she is the next woman who has disappeared. So she's just very determined. I have to admit, at the word teenager, my heart kind of got into it. I was kind of hooked because anytime we have children involved, I want them to be found. Although this cover looks like maybe that's not promising that she's gonna be found alive, but you know, who knows? So Lisa Gardner is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of 23 suspense novels, including The Neighbor, which won Thriller of the Year from the International Thriller Writers. An avid hiker, traveler, and cribbage player, she lives in the mountains of New Hampshire with her family. Before She Disappeared is available as an ebook and as an audiobook and as an audio CD for free through the library catalog, and it was published in 2021 by Dutton. Next, we have The Lost Boys by Faye Kellerman. This one, guys, is my pick of the haul. The description of this plot has a really compelling character element, as well as the mixture of a cold case and a hot case, all intermingled in this plot. And you know, that sounds like a recipe for a darn good story. The story starts when the mentally disabled man Bertram Lance disappears from a field trip that his home has taken him on with all of like the care workers and all of the inhabitants. And when everybody realizes that he's really gone, nobody can find him, a whole big search is put on seeking him out. It involves a search through the woods. They find another missing person's body in the woods, a hiker who had disappeared with 3 friends like years before. Meanwhile, one of the detectives who is assigned to the case, his foster son, is going through a very emotionally tumultuous time in his life because his biological mother just showed up back in his life, and it's wreaking emotional havoc on his foster son. So he has to deal with that on top of these mysteries, and somehow it all intertwines. And people start wondering, are these murders ever really gonna be solved? Things just keep going from bad to worse here. So Faye Kellerman has a whole bunch of recommendations on the back, good reviews, and her other claim to fame, other than being a best-selling author, is that she's married to Jonathan Kellerman, who is just a humongous name in thriller writers, and I think it's her son is also a well-known thriller writer, a best-selling thriller writer. So we have a family of thriller writers here. This one is available for free on audio CD and audiobook, and it was published in 2021 by William and Mara, which is an imprint of HarperCollins. And finally, we actually have a book here by Jonathan Kellerman, the husband of Faye Kellerman, the one who wrote the last book. That was entirely accidental. I was just picking books off the new cart here and happened to get them from the husband-wife team, so that was cool. This one is called an Alex Delaware novel, so it's clearly part of a series. This one is called Serpentine, and it follows the LAPD homicide detective Milo Sturgis as he chases down an extremely cold case that has no evidence, no witnesses, and a string of detectives who failed to find anything new about the case when they tried to solve it. And also there's no motive for the crime, like there's just nothing. And this guy, the detective who is now assigned to the case, he has a perfect record, so if anybody's gonna find something, it's gonna be him, right? But he wasn't about to touch that after like everybody tried and failed. However, the daughter of the victim is like a mega rich mogul, and she keeps pressuring the police to solve this cold case. And so he's on the case. We'll see what happens. Jonathan Kellerman is so famous that they don't even have quotes for him. They just have his picture on the back. It's like, you know who this guy is. You know you can trust him to write a good story. That's what that tells me. Also, look at all the books he's written. #1 New York Times bestselling author of more than 40 crime novels, has also written 2 children's stories and a whole bunch of nonfiction, and he's won a ton of awards. It really sounds like you can't go wrong with this guy for a thriller fan. I don't know, his wife's book sounds more interesting to me, but I mean, this guy's got the pedigree, so you know. This is available for free as an ebook and as an audiobook, and it was published in 2021 by Ballantine Books. And that, my friends, is all the thriller books that we have here today. If you would like to order any of these, check out the titles that are down below in the description and just copy and paste those right into the catalog, which is also linked down below in the description. And you can instantly see all of the wonderful books you can access for free. I hope that you enjoyed this book haul. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure to give this video a like and to subscribe if you have not subscribed before now, and hit that little bell notifications icon off to the side to make sure that you get notified anytime we make new content. And make sure that your notifications are on in your settings. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.